right, boys and girls and boys. We got one more. I'm excited to do this one because I actually started watching a little bit of this. I've been spreading it out between Hulu and doing a little bit on Crunchyroll as well. But we're gonna be getting into the anime that should not work by The Masked Man. Now, the thumbnail for this is obviously from Gintama, and I watched a little bit of Gintama the first season on Hulu, because the first season's dubbed on Hulu, and then it's like 400 more episodes aren't dubbed, and then at episode 466, it is dubbed on Crunchyroll, and I watched episode 466 one day just because I was like, what is this Gintama thing about? And I watched it. It was one of the funniest episodes of any anime I've ever seen ever. Dude, I was dying laughing.
If I told you that I was almost 100% sure that if you gave this anime a chance, it would stick with you the rest of your life, would you give it a shot? If I added on top of that...
Absolutely, dude. Gintama, it's going to be one of those things that at first you're not going to, it's not going to land that hard. But, the more you watch Gintama, the weirder it gets and the funnier. There's some episodes that don't land, obviously, but there's so many more episodes that the comedy lands so hard that there's going to be times where you're going to be dying laughing.
That I was a bit of an adamant hater of this anime when I first gave its manga a shot, and even the publication was skeptical of it at first, not expecting the sales to be good and the series itself being at risk of being axed very, very early on. The anime itself hints at struggles it had to stay on air, but I think by that point Gintama had found success and was simply playing the cute underdog. Even then, they weren't really hints, just full-on segments and bits and episodes, but after watching the entirety of Gintama, I owe it a huge apology. Saying it's a show for everyone might be a bit much.
This episode right here is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in anime. It is so fucking hilarious, dude. I was in stitches laughing in parts of this episode. It's 2 or 3 episodes that are a continual story, and it's so funny.
But if you're looking for a series to chill and laugh, looking for a great anime, looking for something one of a kind, looking for a great cast of characters, Gintama checks all of those boxes. But if that's the case, why did it struggle at first, and why would I be worried some of you will never give it a try like I almost did? Saying Gintama's eccentric is like saying it kinda hurts to be a Raiders fan. It doesn't really capture the full edge.
Being a Raiders fan is a rough livelihood. I mean, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I get it. It sucks being a Cowboys fan as well. Also, being a Lions fan, that would be another sports, another NFL team that it would just suck to be their fan because they just never seem to make it to the house.
It's a massive understatement at the very least. It's a story that takes place in an alien-invaded Edo, Japan, where being a samurai and using...
Wait, is that Whitney?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yo, what just happened? What just happened, dog? Did it just change? No, it was that was the most weird cut ad I've ever had on YouTube, dude. That hit me in the butthole. I got butthole punched from that ad.
Is now banned. Shinpachi is trying to help his sister keep their family dojo open and runs into a man that would change his life forever, Gintoki, who runs an odd jobs company and hires Shinpachi as his employee. This initial premise, however, fails to capture any of what the plotted story is going to be like. The trio is then completed when Kagura joins, the female lead of the story that pretty much goes against every trope that would have been common in female leads at the time, especially just within Weekly Shonen Jump. So the series starts off purely as a comedy for its first couple of episodes, with occasional dashes of sentimental scenes where a lesson is taught at the end. Which, quick side note, the piano soundtrack that plays in almost every episode and Take Care Brother moved me to tears more often than it had any right doing. I would like to play it in the background of this video, but
Bro. Just, you're crying in a Gintama episode? Dude, now I know why you wear the mask, man, dude. Big sensitive boy over here. Look at this guy, big gay. He's the big gay.
It's a little bit tricky, but before I go all the way there, Gintama is a weird mix of many different things. I mean, you're in an alien-invaded Edo, Japan, where the main cast of characters is an odd jobs business. But this story was originally based off of the real-life Shinsenigumi, a force that existed back in the 1800s to guard the shogun. Their story was turned into drama films, and this would serve as inspiration to Hideaki Sorachi, the author of Gintama. The group is still in the story, but the main character and focus changed drastically. Originally, Hijikata being the MC, and even though I love this character, I would say the change was the right choice. The more the story was worked on, the more different elements like the science fiction and comedy shifted it into a completely different direction. Sorachi himself describes as what we now read or watch, being Gintama, as a science fiction human drama pseudo-historical comedy. Whenever there are discussions about Gintama, you always hear about the final arcs, but early, it's an episodic comedy. But a good amount of the comedy is very cultural. As the series goes on, it leans more into lowbrow universal humor and references more well-known to us, but early, a good amount of the jokes won't hit for most people. I think this is the concern publishers had, since given the
I'm gonna be real, like, the first, what I've seen on the Hulu, first season, I still think some of the shit hits. It's weird as fuck, but it still hits.
Landscape of what was really selling at the time, something is different and as hard to put into a box like Gintama, it's a true wild card where you don't know how it's going to perform. This is also the part of the story where we're being introduced to all of the different characters that end up becoming beloved and fleshed out. But for now, they are eccentric personalities within an eccentric world.
Another thing I hate about Gintama, my voice cracked a little bit there, but another thing I hate about Gintama is the fact that it's like the dubbing is all over the fucking place. You got like the first 40 episodes dubbed on Hulu, then nothing to 466. Are you fucking kidding me?
These weird quirks, however, that the characters have, allow them to be very memorable so that the story can jump to something else. Whether it's the chief of police Kondo being a stalker, Hijikata being a freak for mayonnaise, Shinpachi being a mega fan for an idol, all of the characters are given an ongoing gag that is being established. So there are a lot of reasons I wouldn't suggest skipping the early segments of Gintama, but it's because the quick punchlines later on won't make any sense, and the character interactions will completely fly over your head. The running gags become distractions instead of pleasant additions when the anime then delves into more long, serious plots. So it's very essential to still watch all of this. Plus, I think a lot of the episodes early on are still very funny, like Katsura being a terrorist with bombs, but he still needs to avoid the Shinsenigumi, who are the police force of the story, and then his...
This was funny, dude. This is like, I've seen this episode, dude. I'm sorry, dude. Gintama just hits for some reason. And I like watched part of like an episode a while back because it was on a bunch of lists, and I'm like, this shit kind of sucks. And then I like watched the episode 466 because I was bored one night, and I watched all 3 of those episodes, said this is fucking amazing, and started watching the first season on Hulu.
Connection to Gintoki. It's a mix of the comedy actually having important introduction and information with the characters. I'm sure FC Barcelona fans, however, will love Katsura and relate to him a lot because he's also a cuckold. A la Madrid. So yeah, if you were ever even thinking of skipping...
Dude, IDubbbz fans, we got you a character.
It, you'll miss the build-up of very important story elements that take place within the first season amidst all the humor and parody. It might be difficult for things to stick with you in the first episode since it will jump around a good bit, but it's nothing complicated, so you'll be able to keep up easily, and it's getting the stage set for what would be an all-time performance. Outside of what some might consider a slow start, full of character intros and a lot of niche humor, what else would stop someone or even you from giving it a try? This might be an unpopular thing to say, but I'm aware that watching a 300 episode plus anime with movies is a time-consuming task for people with what we call a fucking life, and probably the reason many who haven't watched it plan to keep it that way, especially for those who don't talk about anime for a living.
Well, and here's another thing too. Like I said, the dub is like fucking non-existent for like most of the episodes.
So everyone but like 8 people watching this. I did a rough estimate of how much time it would take to watch all of Gintama, and it was around 122 hours. To save time so I could do other things and work on other things, I watched it at 1.25, especially the early parts, which personally allowed some scenes that drag as anime did back then tend to feel better, while not affecting the pace to the point where it feels unnatural or jeopardizing the information that I'm taking in, or really the timing of the jokes. I still thoroughly enjoyed what I watched, which is what matters. Which, by the way, Gintama even makes some brilliant fourth wall jokes about the production of the anime, with an episode about how it's done, the director being bad at his job constantly is a joke, and as well as episodes dedicated to being a manga
Dude, the director fucking sucks. He's the worst. He's got a weird penis. Nobody likes him. He fucking he reads the manga and he's like, I just don't want to do this, so I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. I love like a good self-deprecating joke. I always have, dude. They're so much fun to make.
Editor, and presents the author of Gintama as a poo-flinging gorilla. When it came to the time I approximately saved, instead of 122 hours, it was only 97 hours. So I saved 25 hours by just ever so slightly speeding it up. If you think that watching an anime at a slightly faster pace is a cardinal sin,
This may
Dude,
be...
if you think it's a cardinal sin, it's probably the same people that say that watching it at dub is a cardinal sin. And I'm sorry, dude. I'm here to like fully enjoy the entire show. So get the fuck out of here, dude. I don't want to be reading the whole time.
have to do
It's
it.
not that I can't read and watch it at the same time. I just want to enjoy both the dialogue and the action for its full greatness without having to sacrifice a bit of each.
But for those that want to save a good amount of time without just skimming through it, there you have it. It is very difficult to compare Gintama to anything else, but if I had to in order to paint a picture of what it feels like, its inspiration Rurouni Kenshin, but instead the main character's comedic elements are turned up to 100. It still has the similarities, though, of the layers being peeled back into the character's backstory, and the things that haunt his past slowly coming back to threaten the people he currently cares about. So the Kenshin inspiration can be felt with how this story goes about Gintoki. A main character we know has more to his past that is kept a mystery, as the more friendly aspects of his character is what makes us like him for the time being. The heavy comedy makes it feel more comparable at first to something like The Amazing World of Gumball than any other popular shonen title. Even in this early section of the story, it still manages to hit hard in the feels with certain character moments. Hijikata and Sogo's backstory, showing one of Gintama's special qualities, being able to make you laugh harder than most pure comedy anime while having serious, impactful scenes that hit extremely hard as well. That special quality of the series only gets better and better as you learn more about each character and form a bond with them. Its ability to maintain—
I really wish they would. I'm gonna keep saying this, dude. I really wish they would just fucking finish the dub. And this is a problem I've had with like Crunchyroll as like a service. Is I feel like Sony's a lazy ass company that refuses to like put in even a marginal amount of effort. So instead of going through and like doing a good job of like making sure that they like purchase the rights to a bunch of dubs, you end up with shit like Food Wars and Gintama. Well, Food Wars is like glaringly bad too. If you don't know how Food Wars works, the first season's on Hulu. The second season is nowhere. It is absolutely nowhere. The third season's on Crunchyroll, but it's not dubbed. They did dub the third season. It's just not dubbed on Crunchyroll. The fourth season's dubbed though, and then the fifth season's not dubbed again. The fuck? And the Gintama's kind of the same way. Like, I think they actually dubbed through like the first like 100 something episodes, but they only have the first 40 that's available on Hulu. So then if you really want to get into the weeds of it, they don't dub anything else, and then they just randomly decide to start dubbing at 466, which makes no sense.
A comedic identity while not shooting itself in the foot allows for an exploration into these characters that many series can't really get into because of the type of story they are. Example, Gintoki is not just a hero, a legendary swordsman who's a part of a group of other legendary warriors, a wise man who through absurdity ties in some amazing life advice, but also a gambling alcoholic troll who is also a scammer and morally reprehensible in general. So despite me being pretty damn sure the author just made shit up as he went along, it doesn't matter since he was able to create a huge cast of characters where I'm willing to bet your life that you will have one that is not only your favorite in the series, but your favorite in all of anime and manga. Whether it's because of the writing, the fun dynamic they create, or both, I'll just rattle off some names. Obviously Gintoki, who is the combination of everything that I love about Kenshin as a character, and Onizuka from GTO. Shows the benefits of slowly building up a character, and once again, due to
I need to watch GTO too. I heard GTO is pretty good, and it's just something I have not watched. It's on my watch later. It's something I'm gonna get to, but it is something I have not touched.
Gintama's unique style allows for many aspects of Gintoki to be shown in all different types of scenarios. Even when I first tried giving Gintama a shot years ago, it was evident to me that the story was building to something, but now being on the other side of the ending, he's awesome. And the praise for the character is completely valid, although some go a bit overboard. Also, because of his often jokey, lighthearted way of being, most of the time, the moments where Gintoki is enraged do hit a bit different. It's like a family member you never see angry get pop off. Hijikata's right up there, serving as a good contrast to Gintoki's style of life. The episode where they swap bodies is a great example, but Hijikata also has my favorite backstory out of all the characters outside of Gintoki. Kagura also ended up being so well done once you learn more about her and her family and how she needs to grow. So she actually—
it's crazy to me. It's so crazy to me how Gintama can be like in the few episodes I've watched is already better than Naruto. Oh, wait. That's not fair to Gintama. Gintama seems like it's quality and Naruto's dog shit. It's better than a lot of the shit that I watched like right out of the gate. It just hits weirdly different.
It has a compelling storyline and isn't just a subversion of what's considered the typical female shonen lead. Kamui is also one of my favorites for reasons that are none of your concern. Sogo, Kondo, pretty much everyone in the Shinsenin-gun.
He's gooning. Whoever that character is, he strokes it off nice and slow to it.
Zenzo and the Shogun were also two characters I did not expect to like that much, and of course Takasugi, which for a while I thought was really good, but I didn't quite understand the hype until I finished the series. And yeah, I see the hype now. But the goat of the entire show is, of course, Hasegawa. I eventually want to do videos dedicated to these characters because they deserve it, but there's only so much I can say when trying to appease people who have seen it while selling it for people who haven't. Hence why there's one character I won't...
Dude, I will watch every single Gintama breakdown he does. Absolutely, without a doubt. I actually, again, I haven't watched all of Gintama. I will never watch all of Gintama because that's a lot of episodes to, like, sit through and, like, read all the dialogue, and I'm not, like, that. I like watching anime where I'm, like, chilling, my daughter's sleeping on my chest, I'm just, like, relaxing. It's a relaxing thing for me. I don't do, and I don't do anime for a living. I'm not making the breakdowns. It would be different if I knew that I could make a video, pop it out, get 100,000 views, and have that shit pay my mortgage. That would be way different. But I don't have that, and I probably will never have that. So as of right now, I'm just doing this shit because I enjoy it. It's just something like I like, so I'm gonna enjoy it in the best way possible for me. So I watch Gintama when I want to chill, so I'm not gonna be watching the undubbed episodes. Eventually I will hopefully watch the whole thing, and hopefully they'll dub everything, or maybe remake it and then dub it all. I just hate the fact that the companies like Crunchyroll won't just do like the minimal effort to pay some voice actors to get the shit done.
Talk about for now, but that I also thought was really good for the most part. Whatever praise One Piece or any other series gets for bringing back characters and expanding on them in ways that make them feel utilized to their fullest potential, I would argue none of them really come close to Gintama. Although not every series is structured in a way with the purpose of bringing characters and tying them back in, and instead having them serve a purpose in a specific arc, and that's perfectly fine. But if you feel a little tired of series doing characters dirty for the hell of it, or not having characters live up to their fullest potential...
Naruto, every character in Naruto fucking sucks. I love making fun of Naruto. It's like my favorite thing about like doing anime stuff is just I get a shit on Naruto just because I want to. Everybody who's Naruto fans will get really, really mad, and that makes me a little happier because you're dumb for liking Naruto.
You don't have to worry.
You want Popeyes right now? Then order Popeyes. Give me like a chicken sandwich or something with bacon on it.
About that here. Season 1 and 2 are both good, fun, with some hard-hitting moments that will stick with me, but for the most part is once again relaxed setup. But then Season 3 hits. This is where I'm going to start talking about some of the more serious spoiler-heavy things in the series, so if you want to leave and leave a like while you go, now's your chance. As for the rest of you that want to hear my thoughts on the...
We're not leaving because we're not pussies. We're not little pussy-ass bitches who are scared of spoilers. Oh no, spoilers! Let's be afraid! No. We ain't pussies. We don't need any hand-holding.
Better half of Gintama. There are certain things I would like to say that aren't appropriate for YouTube, and so I just won't say them. But I'll try and gather my thoughts. So first off...
Do you have some thoughts about everything, Savannah? What do you want to say? Do you have ideas? Yeah? I see you. You're pondering. What are your deep thoughts about Gintama? Oh, yeah. That's what I think too. That's pretty good, huh?
Off Season 3...
Sandwich when we add bacon?
Yeah, dude.
And the whole story...
Wait, spicy. I just want like a regular chicken sandwich. I usually like spicy, but like I just want like normal crunchiness.
Combo?
Yeah.
in conflict with the old man and old lady who were secret lovers was so beautiful, and seeing the characters...
By the way, there's also this funny-ass episode. There's another funny-ass episode with these two random characters where the fucking... there's this, like, one guy who works for the police force is becoming, like, a ninja, and it's, like, making fun of Naruto in a way, but, like, it's also being nice to Naruto, but, like, I fucking love that episode.
Come together for a longer ongoing conflict was happening more and more later on in Season 1 and 2, but to see what Gintama is like with a serious arc that lasts more than one movie or 2-3 episodes did not disappoint. It maintained its comedic identity, but never compromised those hard-hitting emotional scenes, which is the overall sentiment for what happens next. But I was already falling in love with the characters, but now I was given reasons to fall in love with the actual story. It gave an antagonist that was relatively generic, but did the job perfectly by making him a detestable piece of shit, and that's all this arc really needed. Nothing too complicated on that part. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think if simplicity serves in the purpose of the story being able to communicate a message clear and allow for the emotional aspects of it to really stick with you more, then that's all for the better. Seriously, this, oh my goodness, I loved it. However, the turning point for the series, when it never really looks back at all, entering the Shogun assassination arc. When y'all said this was one of the best arcs ever, I wanted to give it a fair chance, but I was wondering how Gintama would go from what you see in its first half to that, and the way this story ties in so many different storylines together in this grand tragic conflict was perfect. I have no complaints about this arc at all, and it shows that sometimes the best thing for a story is to be patient and place all the right things in the right place. A lot was on the line in the last arc with the position of the Shogun and the powers that control the region, but in Shogun Assassination, there is a legit threat to the life of the Shogun, and the conflicts that present themselves feel a lot more personal to the characters we've been following this entire time. I wouldn't say you could really binge the early parts of Gintama, but this part of Gintama is the easiest to binge along with Season 3, since each episode is heavy and carries momentum into the next with some really good action. The top-notch shit. There are a lot of very memorable moments in this arc, but the most would have to be the fight between Gintoki and Takasugi, and then the ending of the arc, which was just mwah, chef's kiss. You would be lying if you said you expected the Shogun and Tidy Whities was going to have your heartstrings clenched in agony. It gave the feeling that what happens actually has weight, as they are getting involved with
this is something that's really hard for a lot of things to do, and even this isn't like just a comedy. I mean, the comedy, it's difficult because there's so many times where it's trying to do the jokes more important than telling the narrative, but also on the fact that like just normal shows have trouble like continuing like a good arc. Like I've been really mean on Naruto this episode, so I'm gonna keep being mean to Naruto this episode. The pain arc, all this hype, all this build up, all this stuff's going on, and then it just doesn't fucking sink the landing, and it's just like, we need to talk it out. He talks to Naruto for 2 seconds and just forgets about everything he was doing, and it's just so retarded.
Large forces at play that have changed their world, more of Gintoki's past resurfacing to affect what is happening now. There are strong character moments in this arc, but for some of the characters, they already had their defining backstory and moments that made me invested in who they are. Their motivation or moral code was handled way earlier, allowing what goes on here to be a great pace without having to slow down too much and explain why we should care about everyone involved in this. I think Season 1 is a lot better than talked about, but even if I thought Season 1 and 2 were bad,
Dude, I'm gonna say right now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, Season 1 is like jarring as shit a lot of times, and I didn't like Season 1 until I'd already watched some of the later episodes that were, or like the ones that like 466, and I watched some of those, and I went back to the first season to kind of get like a full grasp of Gintama, and I thought it was funny because I'd already kind of fallen in love with the characters. The first time I tried to watch Gintama was episode 1, and I did not like it. So what I would suggest is, if you're not sure about Gintama, watch episode 466 because it's the beginning of a new season. It makes jokes about being a part of a new season and like rebooting itself, and it ends up being like this contained arc that's like 2 or 3 episodes, and it's fucking amazing, dude. It's so funny. I had it on at night one time, and I was just like planning on falling asleep to a show that I'd never really watched before, and me and my wife were both dying laughing, and she doesn't really even like anime. There's a couple that'll keep her engaged, but she was dying laughing with me, dude. It was so good. So watch that. If it's not for you, then Dipsky McClitsky, but if it does hit for you, definitely then check out the first season.
3 and everything after is 100% going through it. Things are made personal every time Gintoki and Takasugi interact, but I was wondering in what way would the greater threat mean to Gintoki beyond just threatening what he cares about. In particular, how the payoff was going to work with his backstory in full, and how that was going to resurface given that Gintoki seems to have mostly moved on from all of this and is trying to live in the present, even though he still carries this sorrow in his eyes. Now, if you didn't leave after the first spoiler warning, this is when I'm going to get into the final stuff of Gintama.
Double spoiler warning for you extra pussies out there. The ones that were like, I can handle little spoilers, but you hit me with a big spoiler, I will fucking diarrhea in my diaper right now. I will diaper max with the best of them. Those guys, we're putting in a little fucking caveat here for you massive poop maxers out there.
Gintama, so leave now. All right, now none of you can get mad at me. Okay, this is when it's revealed that the one behind the shenanigans is Gintoki's master, Shoyo. But how could that be, as it's always shown that Gintoki's master is a kind, loving individual? How could he be capable of this? Especially one who should be dead as the fuck, since Gintoki was given the choice to kill him or let his friends die, and he had to make the hard choice.
Dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine having... dude, that's rough. I mean, I remember when I played the Wolfenstein The New Order or whatever. Whatever the reboot, the first reboot was by Machine Games. And I remember having to choose between those two people dying, and it was like such a tough decision for me, dude. I honestly had like to sit there. I even paused the game and I'm like, holy shit, this is a really impactful decision for me right now. I have to choose between two people that I've grown to like in this first chapter, and who gets to live and who gets to die. That shit's just kind of like powerful to see those moments.
It was revealed to be an immortal and split personality, which made sense and was honestly the best way to explain this twist. The original personality being Utsuro the entire time. It's given good justification once the backstory is explained. My only preference would have been to see all of those things in real time, but the retelling did a good job of making Utsuro's desire to wipe out the world be understandable. The hate that drives the character and his split personality being Shoyo allows for layers in this dynamic instead of a generic I hate the world, I want to make it go boom. Instead, it ties together the antagonist group working behind the scenes, ends up adding a lot to Oboros' character, somebody who's been a perpetual thorn in the side of the story, Gintoki and Takasugi, while expanding on the energy source that made Utsuro immortal. This final stretch of Gintama lasts for a bit, with even the protagonist side suffering a big defeat they have to recover from. It's funny to me how a series that doesn't take itself seriously seems to understand the concept of loss really well. So many great moments. I did not ever expect to feel sentimental for Oboro given the thorn in the side. Like I said, he was all series long, but there you have it. By this point, Gintama is more of an action shonen with some comedy, and the action is great. Though again, it's not a bait and switch. Gintama is still Gintama with its comedic identity.
Dude, I do think that this is cool that it eventually does become something deeper, and I need to get to this part. Well, he's got a swastika sword too. A lot of swastika. He's got the bleach sword, dude. He's got the manji. He's got the manji. I hope he doesn't use it in his I hope he doesn't pull it out when he does a content comp on a Jewish creator. That would look really bad
throughout all of this, but I was wondering how I would feel about the conclusion of the series. In what way was it going to bring all of the major storylines to a satisfying conclusion? I can say with confidence, Gintama has one of the best endings ever, especially the fight that took place during the last movie. Dude, because look, previous stuff was handled, but how was everything with Gintoki and Takasugi and Utsuro all handled in a way that...
Dude, I went to look up like a list of the dub, and I just had people arguing about dub and sub in Reddit, dude. I'm trying to find what episodes are dubbed and which ones aren't. I just want to know what episodes are dubbed, dude. It's so dumb that I can't find this.
To make it feel like the series landed on its ankle. It gave an amazing fight that tied into the character's past, concluded the conflict with Utsuro, and Takasugi became one of my favorite characters ever. This grand, high-stakes Star Wars-ass arc narrowed in and made everything so intimate. So yeah, definitely expect videos on Gintoki and Takasugi. I felt like when the character had been introduced, and as things went on and the more larger forces got into play, I was worried that Takasugi would be a little disappointing as things just moved on from him, but no, the story managed to keep him involved, and once again, just make everything so personal, especially with the conclusion of him as a character. And Gintoki is a walking life lesson all the time, when he isn't, being a piece of shit human being. It's genuinely such a great character.
Dude, there's a petition, dude. There's a fucking petition on change.org. There's a change.org to get all of Gintama English dubbed. It's got 152 signatures, so it's not doing very good. But it exists. It exists, bro. There's people like me who want more. Oh, dude. They want a little bit more love, dude. Oh, this is unfortunate.
So many awesome lines that never come off as pretentious because it's usually the absurd context that makes it like, well, where the hell did this come from? But genuinely, fantastic characters. an amazing cast. My only slight, ever so slight thing is that maybe Shinpachi might come off as a little underwhelming, but I think that's just sort of what happens when you play the straight man a lot of the times within a comedy. But still, I think Gintama offers so much. So many positive messages that are communicated in ways different from most other things I've ever seen. It took me a few months to get through the anime, since it isn't something you can really...
It's episode 266 that goes English. I think I've been saying a different episode, like 466 or 366. It's episode 266 that does, and it's dubbed after that to like 316. Now it's not dubbed, I want to know when they're going to do past 316. Let's look this up real quick. I think it's dubbed to 316. Dubbed past 316. Nothing. No information. No information whatsoever, dude. When did this happen, dude? Dude, it's like, I don't think it's ever gonna happen, dude. I really don't think it's ever gonna get all fully dubbed, dude. Human or demon. I mean, like, it sucks that it doesn't do the full show, dude. Like, they should just finish it at this point. Like, why wouldn't you?
Binge for the most part, but its weird, unique premise and style makes it stand out amongst anything. I laughed a lot, I cried a lot, and when it ended, I wished I could have my memory wiped so I can watch it again for the first time. Even now, I feel kind of nostalgic talking about it, and if you described it to someone, they might wonder how in the world a series like that works. It shouldn't, by all logic, but it does. My only regret with Gintama is that I didn't get into it sooner.
That's sad, dude. Who's Ziffer? Rip Ziffer. We're looking up what a Ziffer is. Is that like somebody he knew? Or is that like, how do you spell Ziffer? Z-Y-P-H-E-R. Z-Y-P-H-E-R. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably somebody he knew, dude. I don't know. That's sad that they died. Fucking L on life, I guess. Sorry, bro. I feel pretty bad about it. All arcs in order. Here we go, dude. Here we go. We'll see what arc that you get from 316 on. So we're gonna go. Keep going. We need to get to 260 because 266 is the start of a brand new arc. It 100% is a like 61, 64. So those don't matter. So here's 266 to 271 are like a joke. This is the reunion party arc. That was a couple episodes that was kind of funny. We got the Dubuku arc, the Shinmagami arc, the Confession arc is coming in, the Soul Switch arc. We get the Kinayati arc, the Afro arc, the Shogun assassination arc, farewell to the Shinzigami arc, and that's it. You get you got to go through the Shinzigami arc, but then you don't get any. Well, I guess there's the Silver Surfer arc you don't get. The HD resolution arc you don't get, but that's not a ton more episodes that aren't dubbed. It's weird that they didn't dub the last like 60 episodes or 50 episodes. That's a little weird to me. Like 50 something episodes. I 316 is where it stopped. Yeah, 316. So the last 53 episodes, they're just like nah, fuck that, dude. We're not gonna do that. Unfortunate, dude. It's kind of crazy to me that they did do one of the big arcs and they just didn't finish the last big arc. That's fucking madly unfortunate. I need to get through because I think I got through. I was on this arc is where I stopped. And again, I'm very new to Gintama, so I'm not like I'm not like an expert or anything. I just know that what I've watched of it so far is really fun. And I've been kind of watching a little bit of the first season and a little bit of where the newer seasons are like the later seasons that are dubbed. And I've been kind of bouncing a little bit between both. But that's all I got on that one, guys. It's a little bit of a little bit of fun here. I think this has been a really interesting rabbit hole to go down to. I think everybody needs to give Gintama a chance, even if they just watch a couple episodes here, or they watch like the little fun, little goofy filler bullshit that's the start of 266 to 271. They're really fun episodes. All of that happens in there are hilariously fun episodes, and I think that is enough to. If you don't like that, don't watch Gintama. But if you like that, definitely give it a shot. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.